don't believe in ghosts.
Don't worry, we will.
Okay, so let me start this off with a little bit of context. I live in Trinidad, so I might use some un-American terminology in this. I'm a girl, and I was 15 when I was in 11th grade, 5th form, because I'd skipped a year in primary school, so I was a year younger than most of the other kids in the class. When I was in that grade, I was not exactly the most healthy or athletic person, but I genuinely enjoyed PE class, and I liked to run around in the gym and play games and such. So when I had to pick courses for semester 1 of grade 11, I made sure to pick PE just like I had done for grades 9 and 10. I was a little shocked when I got to the first day of PE and found out that our old PE teacher had gone back to Canada because his work term here was over. He had been with my school for 4 years, so it was understandable once someone told me that he hadn't gotten fired. We meet our new PE teacher. He looks to be around 30-something, with light skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair that was shaved on the sides and styled, but short on top. A lot of the girls immediately liked him and said he was handsome, but I didn't see it because I wasn't interested in boys or men. This PE teacher liked to take us on walks and runs, so we would leave school at lunchtime in a bus and come back as school was ending, since PE was last period. One time, we went to a place that was known for its howler monkeys. It was a paved path through a forest, and it went up and around a hill. We started walking, PE teacher in the back. When we reached as far as we could go in the time that we had, we turned around and started going back down the trail. I was slow and not very fit, so I was in the back with my teacher. And the whole way down, we were talking about what we knew about the howler monkeys and animals in general. I was an animal nerd growing up, so I had a bit of things to talk about. I was so happy to get to talk to an adult and have them take me seriously. I know it's kind of dumb, but I'm the oldest grandchild to a very traditional Chinese grandfather. And I'm a girl, not a son like he wanted. He pushed me hard to get good grades and never really wanted to talk to me. And my parents were always working, so I just wanted a grown-up to actually listen to what I had to say. On the bus ride back, I sat in the front of the bus so we could continue talking. I only got more attached to him when he let me talk his ear off about whatever I was obsessed with at the time, which was usually some comic book, TV show, or movie. I think at the time it was either Transformers or Pokemon, but whatever it was, he let me actually talk about it. I didn't see anything wrong with that at the time. I was always in the back of the group during our walks, and so was he. I figured we might as well chat. He liked to touch my hair sometimes, but I was used to that because my hair was so long it went past my butt. After a few days of just walking and going places to do jogs, we played field hockey. We did it with 2 teams, and our teacher playing is just someone who would pick teams as he played, so he was kind of like a third team all on his own. He would help the losing team score points, and I don't think it was a coincidence that the losing team was mine, seeing how non-athletic I am. It was during this game that the other girls started to see something wrong with the way our teacher played. He would pat girls on their butts with his hockey stick in order to get them to jump, or get startled, leaving the ball open for him to steal. The girls later were complaining that what he was doing was gross and wrong, but I said that I didn't see anything wrong with it. It took me some time to realize that he really shouldn't have been doing that. The realization coming when he started to use his hand to pinch the girls' butts instead of tapping them with his hockey stick. Next thing I knew, the dude was fired. He didn't quit, he was fired. One of the girls must have told the principal or something, but I know that it wasn't me. I was actually so upset when he wasn't there anymore. Looking back on that and knowing that I felt that way makes me feel disgusting. So, to my 11th grade PE teacher, please, let's not meet again. My fiancé and I threw a dinner party one time to celebrate his mom completing chemo. I hired a caterer, and we were expecting 25 friends and family, so it was more than the kitchenette of our single-story ranch house could handle. We'd also only just moved in, so we didn't have a lot of cooking staples. The caterer said he'd bring everything, 75% done, but he needed to finish off some dishes in our kitchen. I told him that was fine, as long as he was finished by 5 o'clock, because the kitchen is centrally located, and we prefer everyone to be finished before the guests arrive due to the intimate nature of the occasion. He said that would be fine. He arrives as scheduled at 12 p.m., and we gave him until 5, and the guests aren't even arriving until 6, so it's plenty of time. He smelled like actual dog shit, but his accent sounded European, so I thought maybe he just didn't believe in deodorant. It was more than a sweat smell, though. It smelled like a sun-baked diaper, and that made me uneasy, because he was going to be preparing food for someone who was just priorly sick, and some young kids. I just made sure he washed his hands and then left him to his own devices, worrying I was being presumptuous. Throughout the entire process, he keeps pulling me aside to ask me questions and have me taste things. I was super busy because my husband had to work during the day and pick up the surprise guest right after. So setting up the deck, decorating, putting together the slideshow equipment, coordinating the surprise guest, and we flew her sister in and I had to make sure she got an Uber at the airport and her hotel had worked out, etc. It was just a million other little details. So every 10 minutes being asked things like, "Do you prefer this with paprika or without? With is fine, whatever you think. Taste it to be sure." It was getting old. When he was still there at 5:45 after 2 gentle reminders, I flat out told him I needed him completely out by 6 no matter what. He apologized and said there had been a delay because our oven wouldn't stay up to temperature. I'd never had a problem with our oven, but I figured he's the professional, maybe it was a subtle problem. A little before 6 rolls around, and a few of our friends start trickling in. I decided to tell him whatever's done is done, and whatever isn't, he should just put in the fridge. But he's nowhere to be found. I go out on the deck to ask my friends if they'd seen him, and he's out there, alcoholic beverage in hand, out of his chef whites and now in a tee and jeans, mingling with my friends. I walked out just in time for him to introduce himself to my cousin-in-law as a good friend of mine. Nope, too weird for me. I met him in person for the first time barely 6 hours ago. I told him he needed to leave. Now. So he goes inside and gets his bag and makes a beeline for my bedroom. I'm taken aback. I say, "Excuse me? Where are you going?" And he says, "To change." So, first of all, we have a guest bathroom clearly visible. Second, why can't he wear a t-shirt and jeans home? I tell him I'm not comfortable with him going in my room, but he insists it'll only be a second and goes in and shuts and locks the door. I couldn't even get a word out before he went in, and felt helpless. I was going outside to ask one of my friends to help me usher him out, but at that point my fiancée got there with my aunt-in-law. I had to explain the situation to him, nearly in tears at this point, and he was like, "What? He went in the bedroom? Why?" So he pounded on the door, and the caterer came out, still in a t-shirt and jeans, and my fiancée said, "You shouldn't be in there, you need to leave." And the caterer said, "Excuse me, but this is not your house. It is not up to you to decide." And my 6'4", 260-pound fiancé tells him, "Yes, actually it is his house," and he puts a hand on his back and guides him to the door. The caterer says, "I thought Frantic Sledder lived here." And he says, "Yes, my fiancé lives here with me." And the caterer goes nuts. He turns to me and screams, "You lied to me! You bitch!" I have no clue what he's talking about. He starts yelling about how I lead him on and calling me a bitch some more. I don't know who he thought the man in the pictures with me around the house was. So my fiancé says, "Oh no, you won't talk that way in my house. Find the door." And the caterer goes in the kitchen and starts throwing the trays of food out of the refrigerator onto the floor. At that point, my fiancé realized two of his brothers, both currently offensive linemen at the college level, had come in and were on the deck. He signaled to them, and they came inside, and he basically said, "This guy's harassing Frantic Sletter." Since they're a family of all boys and my fiancé is the first to get married, they don't get to flex their protective muscles too often, and jumped at the chance to toss this guy out. The party then went on as planned, but I insisted we just order pizza and throw out all of the food that he made. My fiancé and friends kept saying, "Isn't that a bit much?" But I was insistent. We went out late drinking with his brothers and got home around 3:30 a.m. and passed out in our room. At around 5 a.m., I was woken up to the sound of the door opening. I figure either we forgot to lock the door in our drunken stupor and it blew open, or one of his family forgot their keys or something in the house and didn't want to wake us. His parents and local brother have a key. But his parents never, ever, ever, ever let themselves in when they know we're home. And his brother had had even more than we did and was definitely not awake and driving around at 5 a.m. It wasn't nearly windy enough for the door to have blown open. It had been tranquil all night. So I wake up my fiancé and whisper, "Someone just came in the house." And he said the same thing. "Probably my brother left his wallet or something." I figure I'm being paranoid and try to put it to rest when I hear a loud crash sound. With that, my fiancé was up and on his feet in one movement. He told me to lock myself in the closet and call 911 while he went and looked around. As I was pulling out my phone, we hear in that distinct accent, "Frantic Sletter? Hello?" And I realize it's just this insane caterer. I'm not worried about this caterer physically overpowering my fiancé, or me for that matter, so I charge right out there. The caterer is shirtless and clearly on something. He's taking the pictures that are of just me off the wall and holding several in his arms already. He lunges towards me when he sees me, and my fiancé gets between me and him, and I call 911. Fiancé tells him cops have been called and it's in his best interest to get off the property. Caterer says, "No, I have to make sure Frantic Sletter is okay." And I say, "What? Why wouldn't I be okay?" And my fiancé rightfully says not to engage with him and feed into it. My fiancé stays between me and him while I climb out a window. He watches as the caterer throws photos of us on the floor. Fiancé didn't want to subdue or touch him anyway, so caterer couldn't make any assault claims. He's begun to destroy our kitchen at this point, and when the cops come in, he has a butcher knife. My fiancé considered going for the gun safe when he first got the knife, since we live in a stand-your-ground state, but he decided the situation was hectic enough without introducing a firearm. Caterer doesn't obey police orders to drop his weapon, and he says he, quote, "isn't leaving without me," unquote, so they tase him. It's lucky for him he only got tased, and he didn't antagonize my husband into squashing him. As he's let out in cuffs, he's shouting how he and I are in love, and it figures I should choose a macho thug over a sweet, sensitive artist like him, and all women are whores, etc., etc., etc. He continues on this tirade the entire time police are reading him his rights. The police ask us to do an inventory of the house and see if anything's missing or damaged besides what we witnessed him do. We go around, and there's nothing. But then I remember he was in our room yesterday, so I go through the room. All my panties from the dirty laundry hamper were gone, and my vibrator had been moved from where I kept it. We were so freaked out in the aftermath that we replaced all our kitchenware, toothbrushes, sent our sheets to be professionally cleaned, and had a cleaning crew do a deep clean on the whole house. So glad we decided not to serve the food to our guests and my fiancé's medically fragile mother. He sent me a letter from prison that thankfully my husband intercepted, because I was still recovering from the whole thing. We gave it to police, who helped us get issued a no-contact order. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, 5 years ago, so he's out by now, but thankfully, we did not meet.